So they'll be calling you a radical, so it's that time of year. The salmon on the Copper River, it's that. Now, remember, I was hammering away at this. Where's the mask go? Hammering away at this heavily, the Copper River and the Columbia, when everybody was laughing at me. You know, when Fukushima happened. Copper River, I'm like, you know, the sockeye run. I says, they're going to collapse. Now remember, we're talking 1.5, 1.6 million. Pretty consistent every year. Now, the Chinook salmon, 5 years. Of course, sockeye. Get your thick, beautiful cuts. We're going to fly them into Seattle. Yay! The Washingtonians. Nobody's in more denial than the Washingtonian Bill Gates clan. Nobody. Yay! I work for my... I just talked to this fucking moron here that works here, and he says, yeah, his wife, by the way, died in 2012 of leukemia. And I want to say this because some judge in Japan says, oh, cancer, it takes 5 years to show up in exposure to radiation. That's a blatant, bold-faced fucking lie. Cancer can show up the next day. Hiroshima, Nagasaki proved that. Chernobyl proved that. The atomic veterans. Fuck, some of those guys got cancer. Fallujah's proved that. Some of those guys had cancer when they got home and died. Cancer can happen within hours. It can. My daughter says it like this, Kevin, that genetic fucking code, all it takes is boom, when the ladder's kicked out and those free radicals are set free. When it decides to go, it goes. So, Copper River, 1.5 million, 1.6 million consistently. Everybody's laughing at me. They're tracking escapement, and remember, you're talking, you know what these fish are worth? I mean, they're Copper River. The elitists eat them. I mean, what they go for, it's supposedly the best, you know? So they begin to crash, just like Kevin Black said, and everybody, the scientists are mystified, they're baffled, they're puzzled, they're stumped, they're perplexed. Oh, we can't believe it. You know, my work on the Columbia River, our work on, me and Tim Martin's on the Rogue River, on the Jedediah Smith, on the Deschutes, on the Fraser River. When I call up the Fraser, they, oh, Dr. Blanche. They call me Dr. Blanche. I'm one of the few, probably the greatest PhD. If Fukushima hasn't proved what a fraud academia is, oh boy, has it exposed it. God, what timing I got. So glad I'm getting this. This is the Browning Performance Arts Center. I remember when they built this on it. I remember when they christened it the Browning, the protests that were going on here. You know, I loved it before they put the facade on it. I did the ceilings in there, restored them when they fucked them up. Built in 64 by the true craftsmen in this incredible town. And I mean craftsmen that taught me. So, they begin to crash. Everybody's like, we don't understand why. Not dams. Most of Alaska doesn't have fucking dams. Not the beds. Not the strip mining. What, they're dying at sea? And this is by number, mind you. You know, we're tracking. When Whole Foods comes out and says this year we have to change our machines for packaging of Pacific wild-caught salmon because they're so small our packages don't work. They're coming in skinny, sucked up. I remember Alaska Fisherman was the only one that was really on in the early days with me. He says, you're on it, Kevin. I'm already starting to see it. So I have a friend here because they right here in this building comes summer jobs. Well, I have a friend who I grew up with who lives in Salt Lake. I run into at one of the protests in Salt Lake. He says, Kevin, I've been wanting to talk to you a long time ago. He says, at the canneries, they're searching. This is in 2013 where I'm out of the bone marrow transplant. They're searching. Won't let us take cameras in there. He says, I'm telling you, Kevin. I've worked in those canneries for many, 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 many years, decades. He says, they're coming in, they got tumors all over them. They're all sick. They're skinny. This is in 2013. So the numbers, you know, and there's a lot of pressure on the Copper River to lie, which they got caught lying. They got sued. So they start to crash from 1.6, 1.5 million. They start to slowly unwind. 1.3 million. Just like Kevin Latch predicted. The next year, 1.2 million. The next year, 800,000. The next year, last year, 500. So we're only into 4 days into the fucking, you know, the count. We can't put much weight into it, but the count's under last year's for the first 4 days. You know, yesterday's count, you know, and we're talking very, very early, so let's see how it plays out. But this is by number. So last year, 500,000. We're talking from 1.6 million. And that's on the copper, and that's the best. That's your good news. That's your good news. The Columbia River, we've gone from 1.4 million. Now, stay with me on the Columbia. That's with gill netting and fishing. They're allowed to gill net before they get to the dams 50%. 2016, now remember, the Chinook salmon go to sea for 5 years. 2015, they gill netted 1.4 million salmon. That's not what fish, and that's not counting what fishermen caught in front of the dams either. Then over the dam, 1.4 million. So thereabouts, you count the fish, and there was a lot of fish harvested, taken. You know, Tim Martin says he estimates there was 3 million fish across in 2016. Army Corps engineers over the dam doing videos. By the way, their live cam has been out nice. Their live cam has been out now for 7 years. I keep selling all the time. By the way, I got an email. I have an insider. He whistleblows to me. He says, they lie. And he says, that's how I found out I got classified. I've heard rumors for a long time. I have a really close friend who went to this great criminal justice department here who works for the FBI. And he told me clear back in 2014 that I'd been classified. I'm like, oh, bullshit. And he says, no. And, you know, he's a bigwig for the FBI. Well, the Army Corps engineers have verified it to me. An insider in their whistleblower, he says, you're all over it, dude. They're hiding this shit. So they're doing videos, 1.4 million. So 3 million salmon, if you take, you know, we got to count every fish. You know, they gill netted. Gill nets don't lie. And they're allowed to take out half. They took out 1.4 million fish gill netting in 2016. Then over the Bonneville, 1.4 million. Tim says, I said, do you think there was 200,000 fish caught? Oh, easily. So we're talking 3 million salmon. Now remember, there's no gill netting and fishing on the Columbia now. You're talking 400,000 from 4 million. You know, we can do math. That's 90%. On the road, Tim was up there yesterday, 2 days ago. There's 36 returning Chinook salmon in the road. In 2016, they had 136,000. The Jedediah Smith, I just talked to him again on the phone today. 212. 2016, I says, how many do you think? And he says, well, I don't know the exact number. I says, over 100,000? Oh, way over 100,000. The 212? In science, we call that an outliner. That's radical. That's, and it now remember, now stay with me. That goes in symphony with Kevin Blanch's typo work. Now I'll be back in La Jolla and San Diego, SoCal, doing my title. I'll be at Point. I'm going to get Point Loma. I got 4 days to get this. I got to get Point Loma. I got to get PB Point. I got to get La Jolla. I know those are the cream of the cream, and that reef at OB is so good, and it's going to get. I'm going to be able to get on the outer reef at OB, which is rare. I've only been able to do it twice in my life. It's going to get that low. I need about $1,000 because I got taking the grandkids with me to help me. You know, they're 10. They're born Fukushima week, and God, you seen the price of hotel rooms there? And I got to be close to the ocean right there because, I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, and I got to have those little boys out there with me and do our thing. Remember, I've done all this work while fighting for my life. Kevin, my buddy over there who's native, you know, we call the Rocky Mountains here the children. One of the Navajo elders says, Kevin, I think you're being punished. He came back to me yesterday and it made my whole freaking day. He's one of the old Klamath, one of the Oregon tribal leaders. Grew up in Oregon. One of them that they slaughtered and passed out the smallpox blankets and just mass murdered them. He says, no, Kevin. The god of salmon, when you go off on that rant about the god, first came the god of salmon, then came water. Oh no, oh no. The god of salmon, it's all over you, inside of you. No, you're following your intuitive mind, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You know, Leah Littlefoot told me that her dad, the elder up in Alaska in 2010, painted Bristol Bay black after he had, you know, painted his dream. And he was asked, another Exxon Valdez, and he said, no, nuclear. And he died 3 weeks before the disaster happened. My place in time. Oh, I believe in all that stuff. I got raised right here by the Shoshone. The Navajo, my mom worked up at the Intermountain Indian School when I was a kid. I was a distance runner. I'll tell the story real quick. I have to. It's so important. So my coach, my 8th grade track coach, Gary Reed, took me up to the Intermountain Indian School to race against the natives. And I was a good half miler, 880, without the 800 meters. I used to run against Ice Stone himself, who's one of the great athletes in the history of this state. I love that dude, by the way. He's BYU's track coach. Fantastic person. He was then, too, when he was a kid. And was he good or what? Still is. Fantastic. This track legendary program here, but... So, then Lamar Hershey took over, and he fucked more, but I got my chance. I ran at the Nathan Barker, 9th grade. I got an invite to the national. I got invited to the national meet, you know. Frank Ryan was there that day. I got to run in front of him. Now it's Bob Beeman Blanche, dead tide pull jumping. So we're running against, I remember my mom, you know, because I was on that campus all the time, the Intermountain Indian School. That's what it was called. And they were Navajo. They were so beautiful. That long, straight, beautiful hair. And they all had real, oh my God, and they were so friendly and nice. The chief was such a gem to me. He was so nice to me. And he was fascinating because I was such a little blondie, me and my twin sister. But I'm running, and this kid goes out, and he just daylights me, you know, and I'm the lead guy. I'm the guy on our track team. He says, you know, try to keep pace somewhat with him, Kev. You know, it's like Frank Ryan when he ran against Kip Kano in 68. That's exactly what it was like, except this kid's out and that long hair is flowing in the wind. And I'm like, he's got to be mistaken. He's got to be thinking he's going, you know, 440. And he just kept going. I got done. Gary says, Kevin, come here, look at this. He showed me the time. I says, that's the state high school record. That's sub 2 minutes. You know, and he's like, yeah. He says, you just ran your fastest time you've ever run. I think I was at 2:08. You know, and I mean, like, you know, and remember, I'm in 8th grade. And I'm like, holy shit. And I felt good that day. You know, I had a Feldorf valve, so. But I'm like, well, that's the record. You know, so he's going to be the county champion. No, they don't get to run in the county finals. Why? They're natives. It doesn't count. He was such a good track coach. His name was Gary Reed. I love that guy. And Lamar Hershey come around and ruin me. I look back at what coaches did to me, you know, these arrogant pricks. What they did to a lot of kids. But now I'm the world record holder in the long jump. I'll never forget the day Bob Beeman freaking did that. You know, I loved to watch Carl Lewis jump, and I was always a track guy when I was young. Frank Ryan, watching him, just, I mean, I love the pure sports. But what they've done, when they announced the Olympics in 2021 and 2020 Japan, I went psycho about it. What are they doing? Look what they're stealing. It's like when we boycotted in 1980. I know a lot of athletes on this campus. We have a famous track team here. There's a famous hurdler here. Her and I, and oh, she's great. She was ranked #1 last year at the trials. She ran 4th and didn't qualify. And I says, well, you think maybe that was your subconscious not wanting to go to Japan? She says, yeah. I said, I guess you know about Fukushima. She says, oh, do I know because of you, Kevin? I says, maybe that was a blessing in disguise. She says, yeah, I really don't want to go. I don't trust it over there. You know, so now Kevin Blanche, the world record holder in the freaking tide pool jumping, Bob Beeman Blanche. So you put the salmon collapse in symphony, in harmony, in correlation with the dead tide pools, and, you know, empirically evidence, it proves that it's Fukushima. So we'll track these copper rivers every day. So I'll be in La Jolla, I'll be in San Diego, North PB. I got to get a room. God, the rooms are expensive, they're making up. So I got to get a room there. So, you know, we're going to stay for a week. Me and my grandkids, it's going to cost $1,000. That's, I mean, shit, I called them. I said, really? You want $200 a night, please? Come on. I'll work it and get it down, but You know, I can't sleep on the beach with those boys. Their mothers would kill me. So it's just the greatest eagle. And important work, and I want my grandsons to see, and they need to learn from Grandpa how it's done. You know, and they're athletes. Oh my God, those boys are athletes. And they're beautiful minds. You know, Allie's little sister's fighting for her life with, she has ALL leukemia, so we all shaved our heads. Even the girls, I pick up the kids from junior high, and the girls have all shaved. You know, she has a sister and a brother, and they've shaved their heads. Her mom has shaved her head, everybody, you know. We just keep fighting, you know, up in Alaska. Oh, you're ruining my fishing. How you gonna fish when there's no fucking fish? So we'll stay on the Copper River, but we go from 1.6 million in 5 years to 500,000. And that's by number, and that's the good news. Talk to him up on the Fraser. You want to talk a catastrophe? Oh my Lord. Boy, some changes going on here, huh? God, I'm glad I've got this. There's been some great shots here. The facade comes down. So here at War Profiteering Universe. The state's full of hard workers. You know, the dirt workers, you know, they don't have it easy like I did. Or, I mean, they have it easy hard. I mean, because they can use so much good equipment, but I was a plasterer here for all those years. You know, I started here at 16 years old. Dr. Winters, my biology, I was a BIS guy. You know, biology, finance with Dr. Cooley, art with Doyle Strong, Arthur Adelman, Jane Catlin. Biology with Dr. Winters. Fuck, he was great. I mean, I look back on it. And then growing up in PB with my grandparents there, you know, spending so much time on those tide pools. Nobody knows the tide pools up and down the coast of California like Kevin Blanche. I've spent the last 10 years living on, I mean, literally walking the coast of California. Video proof, you know, nobody knows it. This will be historic at the Blood Moon. We're going to get 4 days. It's going to be super, super low. It's going to be sun up. So it'll be stunning footage, and it'll be boom, 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 and it'll be important, historical, like the rest of that beautiful playlist is. What a playlist that is. You know, so God, I'm glad I got this today and yesterday. Well, how metaphorical, right? Tear it down. That's what they love to do in this fucking Ogden. They love to tear historical fucking buildings down. They've been doing it. I saved the Masonic Temple, 1905, Leslie Hodson. They're redoing Polk right now. We saved it by a few votes. They tore down West Weaver Elementary. That's a Frank Lloyd Wright Prairie style fucking Leslie Hodson. Never got away with it, but I was in the bone marrow transplant center fighting for my life then. Historic work. So we'll stay on the numbers. Copper River. First one flies in today. Oh, Seattle. Staying tuned. By the way, I got a hunch them Warriors 8 seed might knock off that 1 seed. You can't say that. Fuck the NBA. Staying tuned.